What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Vicktory Life Legacy Spotlight series. I'm your host, owner and founder, Dwight Vick of Vicktory Life. And today, it's another family affair. I have a great family on the Legacy Spotlight today. This Demary family with Silas, now teammate from Arena Football, former Defensive Player of the Year, his beautiful wife, Shaunte, and his son, Silas Demary Jr., who had an outstanding freshman year at the University of Georgia. That's why I'm rocking my red today. Red's one of my favorite colors. In
Go
respect to
dog.
Georgia, yes. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I've been trying to schedule this with you, Silas Senior, for a long time, and God finally made our schedules work. Man, we got it going. So Silas Jr., Shaunte, welcome to the Legacy Spotlight. Let's just jump back into it, man. You know, Silas Jr., I played with your dad for a year, arena football for the Norfolk Nighthawks in an inaugural season. I quickly realized he was not only one of the funniest people I've ever met, he was also a great, great leader and a great teammate. I remember telling him how I thought, I played at Virginia Tech, and I said, man, you were just as good as anybody I ever played with. And I really just had a love and admiration going against him in practice, tripping when he used to walk around with a big boom box like Radio Raheem, because we used to take bus trips, right? But that was our story and our legacy. Silas Jr., what do you know about your father's playing career, man, and how good he was? Because sometimes y'all hate on us old heads. Y'all think like, oh man, y'all played during the VCR tapes, you know what I'm saying? But
Uh,
what do you know about his career, man?
yeah, I know my dad he was pretty good. I mean, he got the trophies at the house. I always say he was defense player of the year. Got that big trophy at the crib. What's the black one you got? What's that one
Lineman
called?
of the year too. Lineman of the year.
Yeah, so I mean, I know he was pretty. He got some stain. Yeah, he's pretty good. I mean, I know he was a dog from the story he told me. We watched some film from when he was at Virginia State, so I seen how he used to get down. He used to do his thing a little bit. I gotta give him some props.
No, I mean he did, man, and he was great, man. We played for a wild coach and Coach Wiles, but he was also very knowledgeable,
Why?
and Dietrich Wise, and we had a lot of talent on that team from Kenny McDaniel
Yeah.
and all our teams, Tony Morrison, so many great players, man. Um, Silas Senior, talk about your career real quick, man, and what it meant to you to be able to play as long as you did, because there was a point, you have a story, and that might be for a separate spotlight on you. You have a story where you've been through a lot, but you never quit. You never gave up. You contemplated it, but when you
Yeah.
reflect on your career as a football player, playing at Virginia State, playing arena football, becoming one of the best linemen in league history. Um, how did you get blessed with that opportunity, and how did you, when you think about and reflect, what do you remember about your playing career?
Man, shoot, man. After Virginia State back in '95, I never thought I was gonna play football again because I went through the draft and I didn't get drafted and everything, man. So I actually sat out of football for like 6 years, man, from '95 to 2001 with the Nighthawks. And that's when I met you, man. And it was off and going from there. It was thanks to my mother-in-law too, man, because if it wasn't for her, I probably still would have never played because she was at a function and he heard somebody kept saying my name. And she went over and she was like, "You're not talking about the same Silas Demary I know." She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "That's my son-in-law." And she was like, "Yeah, I know him." She gave the number and they called me. And she was like, "You got to call these people right now." It was late at night too, man. And, the rest is history, man. I played for several teams with the Nighthawks, then the Carolina Cobras, the Buffalo Destroyers, LA Avengers, and then I finished up with the Cleveland Gladiators. It was a long, illustrious career, man. Wouldn't change for the world. If I had to do it again, I'd play it again. Met some great people such as yourself, D. Scott, God bless his soul.
Yes.
Coach Wise, Byron Mays, man, a lot of people, man, on this journey. So I thank God every day, for this journey. I was able to go on, man, and enjoyed it, man.
Shaunte, we were talking before we started going live with this and recording this episode. I've known you and Silas Senior for a long time. I remember when you were pregnant with Silas Jr. and I follow you guys on Instagram and Facebook. You guys are empty nesters and traveling the world. God is definitely shining on y'all. But at the same
Yeah.
time, man, like y'all enjoying life. But at the same time, sometimes when you look at social media, it's deceptive because you see the trophies, you see the plaques, you see your son shining at Georgia, which you're going to get back to in a second. But there's a story behind it. Because I know Silas, I know he doesn't mind me sharing this. If you're not in his life, a lot of these things may not be happening. You have been the rock of the family, but just talk about seeing his journey, and then we'll talk a little bit about like now you have your children, but talk about seeing your husband's journey and what he went through and how you stayed steady and how you've been the rock of the family.
Mhm. Well, it's interesting. Silas and I will be married 29 years on June 3rd.
Wow.
And what I will say is it's been a journey. And from day one, we've always talked about dreams. We've always talked about aspirations. And what I will say on this journey is he has fully supported me in my career. I have fully supported him in his career. And it's been teamwork on display from day one. There was a whole lot of sacrifices, a whole lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And it's been a journey, but again, it's another one of those journeys that you wouldn't trade for anything. And there were some Nighthawks moments where I was like, dude, like I'm all in, but like, what are we doing? Like literally, what are we doing? And we were pregnant with our oldest, and I'm like, I get this whole like football thing and this whole
The
like
$200 paycheck.
what are we doing? Like, this isn't gonna work. And as we continue to, again, faith has been a big part of this, Vic. Like, there were some long nights where we were literally on our knees, like, God, we are trusting you. Because there was absolutely no way. I mean, we were making ends meet, but it was nothing but the grace of God that was making those ends meet. And then we fast forward a little bit to where, like, as his career grew, so did his salary, and it afforded us an amazing life. I have to say that. Yeah. I think the biggest piece of this journey was us thinking about what life would be after football, right? Like we stayed focused on the long game. And so if you look at where we are today, it has been nothing but the grace of God, but it's been an amazing journey. And like Silas said, I don't know that I would trade it or do it any different as well. I was a football wife, right? And you know what that looks like. We had some really good times and we met some amazing people on this journey, but it was met with a lot of sacrifice and compromise.
Yeah, no, it was. And I think you both are an inspiration to a lot of people. I know I'm locked in, but at the same time, when you're going through a struggle, because life is about highs and lows, you see two people you love and respect, like such as yourself, fighting through stuff, posting positive messages and scriptures as well as funny moments. That to me, directly, indirectly, is also motivation to keep the faith. And then seeing your son, Silas Jr., my son is a year behind him. And next thing you know, I see him, he's on the UA circuit and he's hooping and cooking people, giving everybody smoke. It's so funny, man, because I see a trend going on the last several years with all these standout football players, their sons are basketball.
It's crazy, right?
It is so funny.
All the time.
I got a teammate named Hank Coleman. His son is Henry Coleman at Texas A&M. His younger brother is Leland. And me and Hank were teammates, and he was a DN like you, Silas. So it's just so, and there's others. There's other guys that I know are just hooping. Silas Jr., you are part of a great class that went to Georgia, but I don't want to talk about Georgia just yet. I want to talk about a little bit about your journey because you don't wake up and become on the all SEC freshman team. It just doesn't happen with just going to Dick's Sporting Goods and getting a basketball on the sleeve. People think that's what you do. Let's go to Dick's and get a sleeve and get all the things that look right. You're looking like that dude above the rim, the Marlon Wayans brother, whatever. You're looking goofy. Where you put that work in. So what does it start for you? We talked a little bit about knowing your father's legacy, but for you, when did it become about basketball and when did you become locked in regards to this is what I want to do?
I would say I probably didn't start taking basketball serious until probably like the eighth, ninth grade. I think that's when I really was like really focused. I was working out like a lot. Like 8th grade, we was working out like 2 times a day. That wasn't even counting like lifting. Like that was before. We was just 2 times like on the court. So I think 8th, 9th grade when I started taking it serious. I think 10th grade is when I stopped playing football. Going into my 10th grade year, that was a hard conversation. He didn't want me to stop playing because like really I was better at football than basketball. And a lot of people don't know that.
Really? For
Yeah, I was
real?
always better. Like
I
I was
didn't know that.
raw, but I was like really good. Like I don't think we ever really trained. It was just like a God-given ability. Like, I just go out there and just perform. Like for basketball, I really had to train because like it was mainly football. My mom played, but football just came easier to me. It was just one of those things where I just go out there. It's like how kids can do backflips and some kids can't. So like I could go out there, I could play any position. I think it was just a God-given ability I had. But I felt like basketball was just, I don't know. I feel like basketball was just more of a sport I wanted to play. I started to fall in love with it. I think 10th grade going into, well, my 9th grade year, I played JV. You know, it was good, it was ups and downs, faced adversity. Going into 10th grade, I got put on varsity. I think I was only sophomore on varsity. Like all summer, they was like, this other kid was going to be on varsity. Like I never thought I was going to be up there. So then I got up there, probably played like 10 or 12 like true games. Other half, I probably got some DMPs or 2, 3 minutes here and there. And it was frustrating because it was like I knew all the work I was putting in, but it was like, why am I not being rewarded for it? So then I think it was one time I was like really questioning myself. I was like, do I really just want to play basketball or like should I go back to football? Like, am I good enough to do this? And I remember my parents just like, everything will be all right because you got to go through a storm before you see the good. And I feel like as I'm getting older and starting to really like grow on my faith, you kind of see that you got to go through a storm and really God's gonna see if you really gonna trust him before he give you the good things. So
Mm,
I feel like that's been a great thing for me. Just over time, I've grown and matured, just living on my own in college, like just learning. I feel like that's been a big part. But going back to high school, I think going into the 11th grade, COVID happened. So I was unsure if I was going to have a season or not. So we was waiting all year. I feel like COVID was the best thing for me because I kind of separated myself. I was working out 2, 3 times a day in front of the yard, strength
ugh.
training, crazy. Like, I don't know. I feel like something just clicked. I was like, if I want to do this, it's got to be now. So that summer happened. I had a great summer. Going into the school year, I think we ended up having a season. They pushed it all the way back to January. I think
Nice.
all we did was play conference play. We
Yeah,
had
man.
14 games. It was stressful. We were playing in mask. It was stressful.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Gosh,
Yeah,
that was the worst.
that
Yeah.
was that was that was probably like that's crazy. That,
Yeah,
but
that
then
is.
we ended up going 14-0 that season. I want to say got all the accolades I wanted, but player of the year. They gave it to one of my teammates. It was all good. We ended up going to the state championship.
Yep,
And in the game win the layup. Like, yeah, I felt like everything was happening at the right time. Like I started hearing from schools, but it wasn't the schools I wanted to hear from. Like I know with the work I put in, I want to be a Power Five player. Like
absolutely.
so, ended up after that, sat down with my parents. They was like, "You might have to reclass if you want to go where you want to go." So I was like, "Granted, I have a twin sister, so that's splitting up me being with her. Like we had so many things. We were gonna graduate together. We was gonna go to prom together. It was just like a whole bunch of things we had planned." But I was like, if I gotta sacrifice this now for the greater good in the end, I might as well do it now than later. So went ahead, did that, talked to some coaches, but it was one coach that stuck out the most to me. His name was Michael Wright. It was like, and at the time, I want to say it was just coming out of COVID, and I was like, man, I want to play for a black head coach. Like obviously, I had a bunch of schools trying to get me to go to their school, but at the time, I was like, man, I just want to play for a black head coach. I feel like because at the time that was when we were going through Black Lives Matter, and there was a whole bunch of things
Yep,
going on. So I was like, man, I play for a black head coach. Obviously, he gets it from the mud. He's from the trenches, so he understands my grind. He understands his grind, and I felt like it was best for me to go through that. I mean, we were living in a team house, two different houses, picking us up in the morning in a van, Like we were just trying to make ends meet day in and day out. And I feel like going through that with him, we've both grown from it because he's still in my life to this day and he helps make decisions to this day. And I can't thank God enough for him putting him in my life because it was like once we met him, I feel like my life kind of started to take off because he knew the right people, put us in the right positions as basketball players to play in the right tournaments. And then I want to say we went into the summer. That was when I first played UAA. Coach Nick Jones, great coach, man, phenomenal coach. I mean, pushed me to be a leader, to be more vocal. Like, obviously, I was a leader, but he helped me become more of a vocal leader, how to get to certain guys a certain way. And he just pushed me to help lead that team, and we ended up winning the whole thing. We was
Yep.
national champions that year.
Yep.
So I mean, that was a blessing because to be able to win a state championship in public school, then go into the AAU side and win a national championship in the same year, like just proves you a winner. And I feel like when you win, everybody wins. Like I think after we won, I picked up some scholarships, some guys picked up some interests. So I mean, it was kind of just a good thing for us. So going back, I think I had one more year. I was going into before my senior year. I went back to Curry. I would say that high school season. No, that was before high school. So after that, went back played with Liberty Heights. That happened. We ended up having an okay year. No, we had a great year actually. We went 30-3. We won. I want to say we won
Beach
Big
ball
Shots
club.
Nationals. We won Beach Ball Classic, Big Shots Nationals, but we ended up losing in the state championship. Man, that was probably I would say that's probably one of the worst games I've ever played. Like to this day, it still beat me. I can't go back and watch the game because I
Yeah,
was
it'd
like,
be like that, bro.
if I make a few plays here, we win. And it's like
Yep.
I beat myself up about it. But granted, that summer I ended up playing really good. I ended up going to top 100 camp. I went to top 100 camp showdown, got top 10 all-star of the camp. I went to Curry camp. I went to a whole bunch of different camps and just played pretty good and kept getting my name out there. So that happens. I get some scholarships. I mean, some schools want me to come early, like they want me to come 2022.
Yep.
But I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But I got unfinished business with my coach. So we go back, combine, transfer there, get some good guys, get some high profile names. I think we went 33-5 or something like that.
Yeah.
You had a great season. You had a great season.
Yeah, ended up winning again. Obviously, I bred myself on winning. If you can make winning plays, you can play anywhere. Like that's what the NBA wants. And that's all I'm trying to bred myself on. But we ended up winning. I want to say instead of winning Big Shots Nationals, we ended up winning the state championship. Like it was flipped both my years. So it was crazy how they flipped each other. But I mean, it was cool. We made it to the championship in Big Shots Nationals, but we just ran into a team that was hot. I mean, I want to say they hit like 16 or 17 threes against us. You just can't win when the team hit that many threes. It's hard.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But then,
Yeah.
go
No, I was
ahead.
gonna say I want to go back to something though, and no matter who's on my legacy spotlight, I take notes as I'm getting older. I don't want to forget something. You you said going back because it's so funny because I'm remembering this. I'm a visual person on your mother and father's Facebook stuff. I remember you holding up stuff, trophies, but there was one thing I don't remember because you just mentioned it a few minutes ago about you had said it was a tough conversation with your father to stop playing football. I caught that, and I didn't know you were such a talented football player. I think I knew you did both, but when you're younger, a lot of kids do multiple sports. How
Hmm.
was that conversation? Was it with your mom and dad, or was your dad? Because your dad was a dog on the field. Football didn't define him; he defined football, meaning he was relentless. Um, so was that conversation? Was that Michael versus Joe Jackson? Was that Ralph Tresvant thinking about if he's gonna leave New Edition? How was that? Like what how was that convo? Take us back.
Joe Jackson.
Yeah, I think I talked to my mom first.
Yep,
I
that's what y'all do.
Yeah, because I didn't really know how to talk to my dad. I was like, I knew he was gonna be upset because you go from a talent pool this big to this small now. You know it's
It's
hard,
hard.
right?
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's
that's
hard.
that's what he was telling me.
Yeah.
But I was like, shoot, I got to bet on myself, man. I'm big on that.
Yeah.
But
It
talking to
was
my
tough,
mom,
man, because I was like, brother, it's you
What are you
talking
doing?
about going from this pool to this pool, and you got to work, man, and it's not easy. You're going against people all over the world now. So if
Yes.
you want to do this thing, man, you got to. We had to grind, man, and he ain't like some of the days, man. I was like, hey, we in the gym, working out, we in the garage. I'm setting up little stuff, trying to, because I got to learn basketball too now. Because I like basketball, but I didn't know all the intricacies of basketball, so I had to learn just like him, man. And it was wild. It was a lot of butt heads.
Oh, I know. No, it's so funny how his career, Isaiah is kind of following the same suit because he came to me in middle school, and was like, I'm not really gonna keep playing. And I was like, but I could kind of tell because football is a sport you have to love. You can't just go out there, even though you were a great player, you have to love it and you have to want to do it because it's so physical, it's such a grind. But I had the same conversation with my son when that around that right before COVID, around middle school, and he was talking about now plastic. You do know with basketball, it's global. So, and we're in the DMV where you got DC, Maryland, and Virginia,
Yeah.
and it is so many players up here, man. Like he's going against so many top 100 guys and ring guys. It makes him better, but he quickly realized around that high school time he's got the grind. Speaking of that, Shaunte and Silas Senior, I want to go back to you both for a second. The grind. Silas, you and our brothers, we've had some honest conversations via text, on the phone. You talked about the grind and how over time, and I hope you don't mind me putting this out there, you realize who was really part of your village and who was secretly hating on you or wishing against the success of your family. I don't need names, but I don't think people realize, and I'm glad that as we record this, when they see it, sometimes we talk about the cone drills, the tournaments, the exposures, the highlight tapes. That's all expected. But what surprises you is the resentment and some people wishing on your downfall, or coaches playing games, or people lying to take your spot. Shaunte, you can go first, and then Silas Senior. Like, I don't need names because this is not CSI. I don't need, but I do want y'all to touch on that because I know from a distance, even with myself now being part of it, you kind of like, wow, like you really feel that way, or man, this person lied in my face. Talk about the life lessons and what y'all experiences being the parent of a star recruit.
I do know that as we started to elevate, right, that some things just naturally happen, like a natural separation begins to happen. And I think the biggest lesson that we learned is everybody's not going to celebrate you. But for that same element of celebrating, I think that everybody's journey is different. So I really think that the thief of joy is comparison, right? And once you start comparing journeys and just measuring these kids against each other, because really at the end of the day, these boys really love each other. It's when the parents start to add their 2 cents that things start to get a little bit uncomfortable. But I will say, until you as a parent can celebrate all of these kids, then you might not ever get anything to celebrate. So to this day, I mean, I sometimes look at my son's story, and that's how I keep up with his friends. He constantly posts everyone else. He is probably one of the most selfless people I know, right? And so when you start talking about servant leadership and being a leader, I think he naturally gets those qualities. And I'm being really honest, Vic, like God has done some amazing things in our lives. And all 3 of our children are amazing. Even when I look at the twins, a girl and a boy, I wasn't sure what that was going to look like. But these kids are connected in ways that sometimes you don't think that they're watching, but they are watching every move that you make. So I think how you show up is really important for them. But when I really look at Silas Jr., I think that God took like all of my best attributes with all of Silas's best attributes and qualities. And this is the person that we get. So now that he's a little bit older, I find that we're learning from him. And so on this journey, I think if parents would figure out a way to celebrate everyone and understand that everybody's journey is a little bit different. And how we get to the finish line is how we get to the finish line. But I think a lot of it, the parents have overcomplicated the process.
Bars.
It's a
Your
marathon.
mom is dropping bars.
Yeah.
Good
It's
Lord.
a marathon and not a race. And like you said, during our marathon, man, we had to go a long way out, back in, back out again. You know, we've lost. I would say we lost some friends, but it was
there's a separation that happened.
Because when you start going through this recruiting process, man, and then you start talking to these coaches, you know, like you said, you got to figure out who lied the least.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
And that's a whole nother episode.
Yep. No
and,
doubt.
You know, being on the journey, man, is, you know, I don't know if Jay remember. I used to tell him when him and his kids, his friends were growing up, like, at some point, man, one of you guys are going to elevate. Don't know who it is. Don't know who it is because all you guys are talented. But somebody's going to rise up out of there, and you guys got to have your people around you so you can take care of them. Yeah. And so I used to always tell them that, man. And then, you know, just being in this thing, Vic, man, it's opened our eyes to a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff, man. Because people think this basketball world is big, but it's really small.
Small. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. Yeah.
Really small.
Well, I mean, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, everybody knows everybody. When you say something, you best believe it's making its way back. It's making its way back. Trust and believe.
Yeah. That's so funny, too, because off air, and even when I started recording this, your son knows, you know, a lot of my guys. Like I've had Henry Coleman on here with his father, Hank Coleman, at the time he committed to Duke. Then he transferred to Texas A&M, as we all know. But as my son has begun to elevate to some degree, Hank and people like yourself and other people say, watch out for this, look out for this. And then all of a sudden, you know people, you know this coach. I had no idea your son knew one of my good friends, Rodney Berry, who's been coaching EYBL for almost 20 years. And because he played on the UA circuit. And Rodney is a great coach, but he's a fool. He's a funny guy. And your son knows him. I mean, you're right. It's a small community.
Right.
You know, Silas, let's talk about how you chose Georgia, because you were originally committed to USC. I remember seeing your parents post it, and I was like, okay. You know, I was like, USC. I was psyched. I was like, West Coast, Snoop, LA. You know what I mean? You know, Kendrick. And next thing you know, what'd you say, Silas?
He loved it. But go ahead, man.
No. I'm just transitioning to. I want to hear what happened with him, and then it's interesting because there was a lot. I'm putting it out there on your legacy spotlight. There was a lot of rumors on Twitter and in the basketball community. You committed there. Next thing you know, Bronny's coming, and all of a sudden, you know, you open your recruitment back up. But I don't know. A lot of times, even though I'm close with your mom and dad, I don't interfere with that stuff because I know they know what they're doing. But this is your time to kind of shed some insight. I know you've been interviewed before, but how did that all take shape? Because you chose the right school for yourself because you flourished there. By the way, every time y'all playing in the SEC tournament and I team, my wife, Shanice, had y'all games on. I'm coming home to grab a sandwich. I'm here Demary with the lay. I'm like, oh, the game on. She had your schedule. She knew when you played more than I did. But, you know, but talk about, you know, how it all came about. You know, you talked about your career, state championships, national championships. You had a great run with Curry. I saw a lot of that. But recruiting is real. It can be real shaky. It can be interesting. It's fluid. There's always rumors and people misinformation or the right information. But you have a chance now. What actually happened with that?
Granted, I mean, looking at the situation, I loved it. It was everything I wanted. But then, like, they told me their point guard was like, he was gone because he was a senior. It's like, he's not coming back. Like, I got a chance to come in as a freshman and earn minutes. So I was like, that's perfect because as a freshman going into today's basketball world in college, it's not many freshmen getting a chance to really play. So I jumped on that early because I was like, they was recruiting some guards, but I was kind of outside of the one they brought in, I was kind of the 1A, 1B. So I was like, go ahead and jump on this best situation. I can get away from North Carolina. You know, I can go and make a name for myself out west. And I just felt like it was everything I wanted because nothing has ever been easy for me. So I'm like, why start now? Like, just keep trending on the same path I've been trending on. So then, like, I want to say we went out there in January. It was all right, but it didn't feel like how my visit felt when I went in. I want to say September or October, one of the two. It didn't really feel the same. So then, like, I stopped. I was hearing from them, but I wasn't hearing from them like I was. Like they were coming to my games a lot more, but then like it kind of scaled back, and I felt like the relationship wasn't really still there. So then we started seeing things on the internet. There was like he's coming back. The point guard's coming back. But I'm like, whole time we thought he was gone. He had no more years. So then that happened, and now I'm looking at a situation like if I go there, I'm probably not going to be able to earn minutes. Because one, you have the number one point guard coming in, and he's a draft. He had the potential to be the number one pick in the NBA draft.
Sure did. Yeah.
Following his freshman year. Then you have a kid that's been there for 3 years. It's just hard to find minutes there. And it's like if I'm gonna have minutes, it's gonna be like 8 to 10 minutes. And I know I put in too much work. I know what I've been through just to go and have to wait my turn rather than just going and having a chance to play a lot more as a freshman. So then we asked for my release. I mean, he didn't really want to grant me my release. Like he kept trying to tell me how things would work out. And then that's when like things about Bronny started saying they was gonna come. So
Yep.
Grant, I mean, I didn't have a problem with Bronny because I was like, I know he's a kid you can play alongside. Like he's not a selfish kid. I'm like, that's
Not at
cool. I don't
all.
have a problem with that. But when you have a guy that played 30 minutes, he has one of the highest usage rates on the team. It's just hard for me to find a spot. And it's like we're going to compete, obviously, but it's like I know he's going to have the edge over me because he's been there. That's just how some schools do it. Like if you've been there, probably gonna really play more. So I was like, I just don't want to be in a situation where I'm fighting an uphill battle the whole year. Like it's just pointless for me when I feel like I can give more to a team rather than just having to wait. So then got the release after I want to say like 4 or 5 days of just ongoing conversation. I want to say we didn't even have the final conversation about him releasing me. It was like a text message or something, like never texted me back or something like that.
Yeah,
I
never
mean,
called back.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no shade on his name. I mean, infield outside of that, he was a great guy. I mean, no one's tear anybody's name down, tarnish anybody's name. Like
No
outside of
doubt.
that, they were great people. Obviously, things didn't work out. Sometimes emotions get in the way. But I mean, outside of that, they were great people. It's not like I want to downplay who they were. Like they were great people, obviously, because I chose to go out there in the first place. But situation just didn't fit, and I felt like I could go somewhere else. So when I did that, decommitted. A whole bunch of schools reached out, but to me, I feel like for this one, for this process, I wanted to keep everything inside. Like nobody knew who was coming to visit. Nobody knew I went on a visit. It was like I kept everything close to the chest. So I had an in-home visit with St. John's. I want to say Penn State came after the VCU coaches got a job there. They came and saw me, and then
Mm.
Georgia came. But Georgia stood out the most because they came with a whole plan. Like they came with a whole presentation. And it was
That's what's
like
up.
it had my mom getting teary-eyed, my grandma got teary-eyed,
Yeah,
and it
man.
was like when
And
you can
not just
make my grandma and them feel like that, and like they ain't even really talk they talked about the basketball part, but just to hear from the relationship standpoint, it's like you gotta do a lot for my mom to really just break down in front of you. So I was like, that stuck out to me because it was just seemed like everything they were saying was fitting. And like they were very transparent. We had obviously back and forth conversation, and I feel like it was the right spot. Then we took a visit and came to Athens. I mean, it was kind of what I like, man. You know, laid back college town,
College
got a
town.
great football team. I mean, Grant,
Phenomenal team.
here
Yes.
all the sports here are pretty good. Like we
Yeah.
had a good year. Softball and baseball doing good. Gymnasts had a good team. We had a kid on the track team break a record a month or two back. So like here, it's like every sport is constantly growing, but just getting here on campus and seeing everything, I just felt like it was the right fit. And committing on my visit, I was like, there's nothing else for me to really see. There's nothing else for me to really go and visit anybody. It was like, it was just the right situation. And then obviously it took off from there, got there in the summer. I went through a lot of adversity in the summer. I was we had an older team, so just trying to find my way and my voice as a 19-year-old versus guys you got 21, 22-year-old. It was hard. I mean, it's not easy trying to tell older guys what to do. They don't feel like you know what you're saying. But over
Yeah.
time, being around them, growing that chemistry with them, they obviously start trusting me more.
No
Obviously
doubt.
to the accolades I earned this year. So
Yeah, you did. I want to start with you. We'll stay with you, Silas Jr. Then I want Mom and Dad, Shaunte and Silas Sr. to talk about this. I want each one of you to talk about that first year at Georgia. What you enjoyed, what was a pleasant surprise, what was like, wow, this is amazing, in your own words. But I'll start with you, Silas. We'll stay with you, Silas Jr. Because I'm looking on Twitter and IG and Facebook, and I see you, and I don't need your NIL figures, but I see you holding up, you getting a chain like you in a rap game. You holding it up and putting it around your neck. I said, good Lord, man, if I could go back in time and get that car that Michael J. Fox had and go back in time. Because, I'm a Vic. I'm thinking, oh, I know it was a lineman, but I could have got me something, a Chick-fil-A deal or something. But the chain, then I see, and again, there's so many high moments, man. You gave Kentucky 22 in a tough loss, but you shine against, a bunch of, guys that, including yourself, are NBA prospects. You held your own as a freshman, 22. You just had a great year, in my opinion. But what was it like? I mean, because SEC over the last 30 plus years has been known for football, but here in over the last several years, with Kentucky, Georgia, Texas A&M, and others, Arkansas, it's a basketball conference as well. ACC will always get that benefit of the doubt, but SEC is right there. But how was it like, man, in those big arenas? You getting the chain and everybody calling your name.
It's
Was
a
it?
lot of fun. I mean, the craziest thing, like for me, from like just being around the SEC part and like all that was the travel. Like we hop on private jet. Like I want to say it's like a 75 passenger jet. Everybody got their own row, like donors,
Mm.
coaches, families up there. So like just like when we first got on that plane, I was like, wow, there's really no more commercial flights. Like obviously when we have games like far like Vegas or like how we went to Italy, we had to get a commercial flight. But outside of that, just being on those planes are crazy. I think when we was at NIT, we got on a Rolls Royce private jet. Like that's crazy. Like obviously my parents have shown me things, but
No.
on this journey, like I've seen some crazier things like that I never thought I would see. It is like, wow, like really I put in a lot of work just to see these things. And from a basketball standpoint, it was a lot of fun because the competition was good every night. And
Yeah,
you
it
play in
was.
big arenas, like SC arenas are huge.
Yeah, they are. That's why I said that. Yep.
Like
They're
I think
huge.
Kentucky was the craziest environment just from like just when you look up and look around, it's so many people in there.
And blue everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
Everywhere. And them fans obnoxious too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they
Yeah.
are.
Yes.
Ooh.
Them Duke Blue Devils. Yeah, yeah. Some of those.
Auburn Tiger fans.
Yeah.
Auburn gym is crazy because it's like it's kind of like Cameron Indoor, but like a wider introspect of it. It's
Yeah.
like everybody's caving down. They call it the jungle.
And it
And
is.
on TV, it looks bigger than what it is. It's kind of smaller, but it's a lot of people in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It got real loud in there.
That's really good that you experienced that. Shaunte,
Mm,
being a mother, he talked about Georgia coming in and they impressed you
it
with
did.
their legacy plan for him.
hmm
And that was good. Then you talk about that first year. I mean, did you ever sit there and look at your husband and be like, man, no, our baby out here? I mean, again, because you talk about these arenas and the fans, and and on the road it's not friendly because they
It's
know who
not.
he is, and you're going to hear some stuff, and
We
you
do.
got to sit there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Shoot.
this how was it?
Tell them about the Arkansas game.
Yeah. So So the Arkansas game was pretty interesting, and again, nothing but the grace of God. Like we never missed high school games, and so our intentions were to never miss college games, and we went to every single game. And we don't take any of these moments, Vic, for granted, right? We were able to go to Italy. We went to every game, but every arena, like you said, was a little chaotic. Some more interesting than others. But we're at Arkansas, and I think. Yeah, I'll keep that. But we're at Arkansas, and it was like when they would call his name, it would be this deep, gut-wrenching boo. And we were like, these people don't even know him. But later on, I think we found out that Arkansas fans, I guess, selects a player that they're going to taunt the entire game, and it happened to be our son.
Oh,
Right. And this one right here is just big dog, right? He brings it. We cheer for every kid on that team. Like, we are big Georgia fans down. And I don't know why these fans don't think we travel this far to sit quietly.
no doubt.
This one matches all the energy. Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
So, oh my God. Like, he comes home and he can't speak for days. Like, he gets his voice back just in time enough for the next game. And he's a Q, and so he naturally barks.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And we're the Bulldogs, right? And so he carries this energy. And people come up to us after the game and say, where did you learn how to bark like that?
Yeah.
Because they're tying it to being a Georgia fan. I mean, even at our home games, Silas got the opportunity to start every game, and kids come up and they want him to bark with them.
What? But they can't bark that bark because,
they can't bark that part, right? But they tie it all to. But what I will say, the one thing that impressed me more than anything, as a basketball mom, I will say academically, you got it. Academically, I was so impressed with what Georgia had to offer. He is a student athlete, and what I will tell you is we play no games about academics in the Demary home. So what they were able to show me and talk me through from an academic standpoint, Silas also got the opportunity as an incoming freshman to be a part of their lead program, which typically upperclassmen get the opportunity to do that as they've shown themselves proven. But he was just different, right? Silas knows what our expectations are, and we set the bar pretty high. So Georgia actually leaned into, like, there's these core values that we have around building trust, being a servant leader, whatever those things were. Like, we were going to stay true to our core values, and Georgia pretty much aligned to almost every one of our core values. And again, you do have conversations that are good conversations with coaches and programs, and you can tell they're on like lather, rinse, repeat, and they tell these stories over and over. But you have to do your homework, right? We were sending him away. We wanted to trust the process, and they completely aligned closest to, I think, our core values. So for me, outside of the basketball piece, it was who he was as a young man. The fabric of his being was very important to them off the court. And so the student piece of the athlete part is my responsibility, and Georgia nailed it.
Coach White and Coach Dean, they all came in, man, and really impressed the heck out of us, man. A lot of, you hear the same spiels as you will see, Vic, as you start going on these recruiting visits, and you start hearing the same thing. But that one school is going to stick out, and your son is going to know when it sticks. It's like finding that girl, like, hey, this is who I want to spend the rest of my life.
The butterflies, right? That's the real thing.
You're going to know. And it came in, man, they really did a good job. So we went down, and Jay was like, hey, I think I want to commit. I was like, bro, if you feel it, I feel it. You love it, I love it.
Yeah. And there was an element of like discernment that you have to you have to stay true to the things. Whatever your things are, if you stay true to that, and then discernment will settle in. You just have to, you can't switch up. Like, you have to sit down as a family. You have to talk about what your core values are, what your North Star is, you have to stay true to those things. And it wasn't easy.
No,
I mean, Silas and I had some
sleepless nights, many on this recruiting journey, man. It's
there's an element that you have to stay true. You have to stay true to who you are and true to your process. and then the rest kind of works itself out.
And like you said, man, you got to go back and find out when you go through this process, man. And Jay will tell you, like, who's telling the least amount of lies.
It's unfortunate.
Kind of bad to sound like, but that's the reality of it, man. And you want to know that they're trying to meet you where your son is trying to meet his goal. You're trying to meet at the same place, man. And hopefully it all works out. And thank God Georgia worked out for us, man. And we appreciate everything they've done for us and what they're still doing.
And they know
Shout out
family.
to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, but they know, like, we walked into every conversation with family first. And because I said we've been to every game, coaches probably saw how we roll, right? And this is like, some people say family over everything, but with us, it is family, absolutely family over everything. We enjoyed. Georgia showed up for us just as we showed up for Georgia. Games, we would always have his supporting cast, and we just roll deep. And his support system is probably one of the best I've ever seen, but we take this thing serious. Our village is small, but our support system is huge. There's a lot of people rooting for this kid. Mm-hmm.
I'm one of them.
Absolutely.
I'm one of them. I'm rooting for all of y'all. And speaking of that, that was a good segue, Shaunte, because I want to touch on from you and Silas Sr. and Silas Jr., the village. Because I tell people all the time, you are not going to make it in life without faith and family. And family can be a neighbor. You know, it's not always blood. It could be people like rooting for you, people that, you know, show up when it's hard and show up when it's great. They're consistent. But you also have other kids. You have to travel. And there's surgeries, there's science projects, there's, you know, weddings and it's so much stuff that goes on in a month, let alone a week, let alone a day. Yes. And he talked about his twin sister. I've known, you know, Silas Sr. for a long time, right? Over 20 years. Right? And I love seeing what you guys have done as a family. It's inspirational. However, I know behind the scenes, it's a lot of grinding. How do you manage that? How do you manage that?
We do day to day. We absolutely do day to day. Like, there were some moments where you traditionally want to sit down as a family and like, it's people think it's the Huxtables here, but it is a lot of like orchestrating that happens in the background. Like, there's a lot of collaboration. There's probably there's more communication than you think behind the scenes. Like, luckily, when they were all younger, my mom moved to North Carolina, and it worked because we had 3 kids, and we never wanted one to think the others was more important, whatever it was. The girls played softball, the girls cheered, they did gym, they did all these things. He ran track, he played basketball, he played you name it, baseball, you name it. We were all dividing and conquering. But as the basketball thing started to transition into something more serious, we kind of convinced the girls that this would be our family vacation every year. Like, and basketball tournaments were in some really cool places. I think Cocoa Beach for like 3 or 4 summers was our family vacation. So we would go a few days early, stay a few days late, and it was really around basketball. But the girls actually felt like it was family vacation. So it's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It's a whole lot of sacrificing. And keep in mind, we have day jobs too. So we're not... Right. So you're trying to be your best for your employer. You're trying to be the best spouse for one another. You're trying to be the best parent. And in the meantime, you still have to cook, clean, homework, projects. It was a lot, but we actually did it day by day. So every night, but if you go too far out and plan, and I'm a planner, but that's too much. It's overwhelming. It's how do we get there? So it was literally one day, one moment. Figure out today, and at the end of the day, you figure out the next day. But everybody has to show up. Like, even on those days when you don't feel like it, Vic, you have to keep going because someone's waiting and depending on you to do the thing. I think family dinner was one thing that I missed because we were all 3 eating somewhere different. Like, when I say all 3, my mom, Silas, and I would have each one of the kids. And so we were like ships passing. But I will say Sundays became our day until he would train on Sunday. Like, again, our faith is important. And I'm like, it's 7 days in a week. Do we have to train on Sunday? Yes. Can we go give God like a little bit of praise on Sunday? So in those moments, it was thank God for a 7 o'clock service. so you could get some religion in. But it really became a big sacrifice, and it was 7 days a week. But we all sat down and talked about what the end game was. So competitively, like, you can't let one another down. So in those moments where you didn't feel like going, you knew what the assignment was, right? And so now the girls is a part of who they are. It's what they know. They enjoy it. His twin sister like got really involved, and she became a statistician. So he didn't need to wait for his stats to come out. Girlfriend was ready, okay?
That
And when
is
you
so
think,
dope.
listen, and from a leadership perspective, our oldest, Samara, is a carbon copy of me. So
Yeah,
when I say she
she
can
is.
manage and coordinate and facilitate, like, she's the one with the plan. And then twin sister Sierra, she can tell
The
him,
wild card.
listen, but she keeps him like whole. She keeps him grounded. She checks him. Instead of calling him out, she calls him in. Like, their relationship is something special too. So, like, I think now that we're empty nesters, like, we are enjoying all of it, but we are now like embracing the fact that we did that. We
Yes.
just raised 3 amazing kids who, right? Like, job well done, and you don't in the moment understand it all. But
you hear
now
people say,
like, people
when they
come
talk
up and
about their
say
kids,
they're so mannerable, they're so respectful, they're smart, they're brilliant, we couldn't be any more proud of all 3 of them.
so you guys did
And you got your own statistician, man? You got your own statistician? Bruh, I've never, in all my legacy spotlights, I got a cousin named Michael Vick. I got all these people. I ain't never heard, oh, yeah, bro, that's my statistician, bro. Like, that's amazing.
It's been a
Oh,
many a
man.
game at that scorers table.
That's what's up.
But
man.
like she said, Vic, all this thing is built on faith, man. We met some great people along this journey, like the pastor who baptized all 3 of our kids, man,
through
basketball. Ebony and Ronnie Northrup, man.
And they pick up the phone now at away games and call and have prayer with this kid.
Yeah.
Like, it is, and Vic, when I say our circle is small, but God has put the right people in our lives, and we lean on those people, because sometimes you just want to do it all by yourself, but you can't, right? You have to have people who are praying for you. You have to have people who are trusting the process with you, and that are
like-minded.
Yeah,
like-minded.
It's been an amazing journey.
Like, we could list the people like Junior Tug, like Mike Wright. Thank God for Mike Wright, man, because
who was more than a coach.
Yeah.
Like, when you start to have these connections with people, like, this is somebody that will be a part of our lives for the rest of our lives.
And he has 2 kids and a wife himself.
Yeah.
Man. He loved Junior just like he's his own, man. And we love their kids like they are. You know what I mean? So meeting that guy, man, is really, you meet these people on this journey, man, and they kind of
lock for a season, but some are forever.
Yeah. I think it's cool too, man, that, you guys talk about faith in a way where it's not convenient. You know how when people get in trouble or they get locked up, unfortunately, or other things, they be like, you know what, all praise is due. Like, hold on, man. You saying that now, but you guys have been consistently faithful, trusting the process, a term that's used a lot, but very few people follow through with trusting the process and being patient and walking in humility. You 3 and your daughters and everybody in the Demary clan embody that. You live that.
We've seen it.
You see it, yeah. That's really dope. That's really good. Silas Jr., man, talk about your village, your sisters, man. You got your own statistician. You got a life coach, your other sister, checking you to keep you humble. She a life coach. You know what I'm saying? You got all these, but it's nothing like your sisters. There's nothing like your sisters when you're in the living room, you walking around flexing, and all of a sudden they give you that humble pie. Let you know, well, you did have 2 turnovers, but at the same time, man, I think that's so cool. Actually, that's the first time I heard that. How does it feel to have such a great village? Because parents are on you, and I know your mom and dad well, but at the same time, you said something as we started this interview. You're in a position because they've kept you grounded, and you have a perspective now on faith and also the hard work necessary. But having your village, your sisters, and everyone, and what does that mean to you?
It means a lot. It means a lot to me. They come to every game. Obviously, having them at the game every game, it's like, it's got something I gotta, like, you don't ever want to have a bad game with your family there. So you always got an extra push to want to have a good game because you love the hugs and kisses you get after you have a good game. Like they make you feel good about yourself, give you confidence, and when you have confidence, you can feel like one of the best people in the world. So for me, just having them at the games and just always having them around me is good for me because I like to be around people. That's like I would say my love language. That's like how I love on people. Like just being around people and just having those conversations. Like when we used to go see our family and I see my cousins, everything. I'm the last person I want to leave. Like I'm crying on the way home because it's like
Yes.
just love being around everybody. So like just having like I think it was like two crazy games where I had like 30, 40 people at the game and he was just like just looking over there and it's a picture that I have from the South Carolina game where I think it's like me hugging my little cousin, my dad tapping my shoulder, and it's like kind of
51 people.
a picture of all my family up in the crowd. So it's
That's
like
so special.
it is my family and the way they travel to come see me is just a blessing and I'm just happy to have those type of people that always that's always rooting for me.
No doubt.
And I think we had let me throw this out there
Go,
too,
go,
Vic.
go, no, go ahead,
It,
Shaunte.
it is crazy because on our way to games, no matter where we are, the girls make a Target run. It's the craziest thing is a Target is a Target. But before we leave out of Target, like the girls, both of them get him a small, like snack size something, whether it's gummy bear, like whatever that thing is that they managed to get in one of their pockets to take in the game, and they treat him after the game. Like it is amazing to see how they communicate. And if it's a good game, right, they throw the gummy bears at him. But if it's not a good game, they embrace him in a way, and the gummy bears just brings this smile to his face. And that's his sisters. That's what that support looks like. So I know a lot of times people see just the good stuff, but it's the highs and the lows. It's the good and the
Yes.
bad. And they still think he's the number one kid out there, even if it's not a good game. And again, the statistician will tell him, but you got so many assists, you got so many other people involved. So like she will shift it when he's feeling like it's a low game. She'll go back and I mean, she's ready to spew it all out as soon as he comes out of the tunnel. Hold your head up. And so when I see that interaction with those girls and him, when I say they are their brother's keeper, they are their brother's keeper.
Yeah, yeah. No, that again. That's great. Hopefully I can meet them, for part two of this, man, and
Absolutely.
get y'all to Virginia. But Silas Jr., I got some basketball questions for you. Now you played at a high level on the UA circuit. North Carolina. We talk about the DMV, but North Carolina is not backing down. They're known for
Who
basketball as
stayed?
well.
You said
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you guys have, we don't talk enough about Carolina. That state is known. So, basketball question: Who, high school included, college? You name them. You don't have to name everybody. Who have you gone against when you be like, oh yeah, I'm about to lace it up tight. I got. Who have you gone and you're like, yo, I love going against him. I mean, I'm better, but at the same time, I like his energy, or he brings the best out of me. It doesn't. I mean, or a team. I don't know. Your thoughts.
Uh, all right. I would say a player first. We always go at it. His name Freddie DeLeon. Me and him, we've been going at it since we was little. Like me and him, we had some of the craziest battles. And then the team, I don't
Where's
know why,
Freddie at?
but
Where's Freddie at? Where's Freddie at?
Freddie just transferred to Penn State.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
he was at Tennessee.
yeah, he was
Okay.
at Tennessee. But then, like he always played for Word of God. So every time we play, I don't think I ever lost to them.
Uh-oh.
No.
I don't think we ever lost to them. But it was always a good matchup. Like we would go back and forth. Like I think me and we brought the best out of each other. Like it was at one point people tried to divide us from each other. Like me and Freddie been friends since we was little. Now,
Oh, I
and
got
people
you.
started trying to comparing each other. And I told him, like, I think after we played them my senior, I was like, bro, I don't have nothing against you. Like, bro, you been my friend since we was little. Like, let's not let the media try to tear us apart. Like, we was friends before the media and before we was both who we were now.
Mm.
Like, I had to tell him that because it was weird. It was like we would have weird interactions. But I'm like, bro, we always been friends. There's no point for people to be saying things and on both sides and try to tear us apart. Like we always been friends. So I would say like North Carolina wise, that's probably the one of the best matchups ever I've had though.
No doubt. What about a moment in your career so far? Because you still got a lot of basketball ahead of you. Is there a moment, a game? You know, you had the game winning layup. You mentioned that earlier. Maybe that's it. Was there a moment in your career so far, or a game where you like, no matter what, when you old and gray like me and your dad, you gonna download, put it on, and show your children. You know, I know you still got a lot of moments left to make, so I don't want to limit that. But so far, you're like, yo, that game against this, or man, this was the time I felt like no one could stop me. I was in my bag. What is that game? Is there a moment? Is there a year, a season? I don't want to
Uh,
limit you.
it's probably a couple different moments. I was turn on that Kentucky game.
Yeah,
I'll
you
turn
were
that on
balling.
every time. Um, I would turn on the state championship game, that game, and then I would say the craziest moment I've had was that block I had on against Freddie. Like it was a weird angle I came from. Yeah, that was crazy. Them three are like the craziest thing between them two games in that moment.
Tennessee
The
dunk,
Tennessee shimmy.
top
Oh
three
yeah.
sports. Those top three
Oh no,
sports.
that whole Tennessee game too. That's number one though.
There you go. Thank you, Dad. And my wife, again, Shanice sent that to me. I'm at work. She said, "You seen this?" I said, "Dang, how you getting this? You got exclusive coverage." She sent that to me in the group family text, bro.
Yeah.
That was nasty. That main sports center, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
top three.
Top three, yeah, yeah, yeah. How
Oh,
now?
that's
Let me
crazy.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Um, when you look at your game, you are who you are. You have your own game. I love asking hoopers this question more than football players because basketball is different, you know, as far as style of play. But are there any hoopers right now you check for, or some guys that over the last several years you've taken from their game, or you admire their game, or they inspire you to go get shots up to work on your game? Who influences you? Who do you check for? Pro, college, or whoever?
Well, I always lead off with LeBron
Okay.
because he's a selfless guy, and sometimes he's too selfish. But look at him. Obviously, I look at a lot of Marcus Smart though, because he's a two-way player. You know, play both sides of the ball hard. And then like I mean, here lately I've been looking at a lot of Shea Gilgeous and Tyrese Maxey because they kind of around the same height. Like Shea taller, but me and Maxey kind of around the same height. And I kind of like I just go back and look at their college film because I want to see how they was successful. Because in college is different than NBA.
Yeah,
College is
it
more
is.
system based, so it's kind of how can you be efficient and show the best you in a system. So I kind of just go back and look at little things they did and kind of just pick and choose how I can add that little nuances to my game from their game.
Hmm. No doubt. And well, you mentioned LeBron. I'm gonna ask you this. I love asking my son because him and his teammates, we argue all the time. Who's your GOAT? Who is Silas Demary Jr. GOAT? I can't wait for this answer. Who's your GOAT, man?
I gotta give it to Jordan, man.
What? Wow. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
Rewind.
got.
mocking you. I ain't
I
mocking
love
you.
LeBron, but I feel like sometimes like he's a great player. Like he's a clutch player, but sometimes I feel like he has one. It's a stat where he has like the most clutch baskets ever. But I feel like at times when we really want him to be clutch, sometimes he shy away from it.
Mm, yeah.
Because granted, he's a great player. He always wants to make the right read, but sometimes he just gotta shoot that shot. And I feel like sometimes he get caught up in wanting to make the right read sometimes instead of him just like he's one of the greatest players on earth. So like
Yeah.
maybe
Yes.
me taking this one shot might be better.
What about you? Are you afraid of the moment? Would you take that last shot?
Oh no, I ain't afraid of him at all. I would shoot it. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
shoot it.
Because some guys get on my legacy spotlight or I'm talking to them, on the text, or barbershop. They're like, oh, yeah, man, Mr. Vick, I'm good. And I'm like, okay. And they pass that off. I'm like, wait a minute. What happened to the clutch gene? It's
Hmm.
different when them lights on, the lights on, but you seem like you want to shine. That's good. That's good. We're almost done, man. I really appreciate y'all for jumping on. Let's talk perspective. Let's wrap this up with perspective. I like to always give my guests a chance to get perspective because I get a lot of views on my spotlights, and so many times people I don't even know see this. And then with y'all village, I know this is going to be a lot of people watching. When you talk about perspective, you guys have been through a lot of blessings and positives and also overcome a lot of adversities. The unknown, the uncertainty, it was been stressful. 2 shifts passing a night. When you talk to a lot of families, married couples, or even separated, divorced married couples who want the best for their children, they talk about the grind. And it's not just with sports. If your child wants to be an engineer and they want to be successful, you have to sacrifice some of your goals to make sure their goals are achieved. Shaunte, I feel like your second calling is life coaching or the pulpit or something because you speak. I can listen to you talk all day. So I'll let you go first and set the tone. You talked about the parental perspective. You talked about why you supported Georgia. You talked about the village. But just talk about what you learned about yourself as a mother and also what you learned about this whole process and what do you recommend people continue to do?
Yeah, I will say you walk into all of this, Vic, with a level of grace, right? You have to give yourself some grace because there were some moments where whether it was fear, uncertainty, or doubt in some instances will show up. But I want to say, stay true to just who you are. And as you're trying to serve others, take a moment to really reflect on you because, if my glass is always half full, Vic. It's half full in my home, it's half full in my career, it is half full in my community. It's how you show up. But take moments to remain true and humble. And I will say, we sit in this space of gratitude. And if you sit in a space of gratitude, you find yourself never taking anything for granted. So I think how you show up is important. I think how you show up for yourself is just as important as how you show up for others. But I think just naturally the transition is if you show up as your authentic self every day, all day, like what you see is what you get. So you never get portions of me. You never get different versions of me, which is how you can continue to stay true. Right. So if
Yes.
you show up as your authentic, and I don't just give you portions of it, I bring my whole self. And when you bring your whole self, it's the best version. So that's being a mother, a wife, a friend to my kids now that they're older, because there will become some separation there where they're not little anymore. We have open, honest, hard, transparent conversations with these kids. We have this thing called confession session where we sit down and we talk about things that are judgment free.
Nice.
We try to shelter them. We try to protect them from a lot of things, but life happens and life comes. So I say the essence of all of it is just really being able to bring your whole self, whatever that is, flaws and all, the good, the bad, the right, wrong, the indifferent. I think you just bring your whole self and be teachable. Like we don't have all the answers. And I know it comes across that we do, but we don't have all the answers. And that's when you like lean out into your own understanding in those moments. So again, I think keeping your trust circle small, but keeping it tight, having the right people that you leverage and lean on, and bringing your whole self. And we influence these kids every single day, and our kids will take influence over power any day of the week because they are really many reflections of who we are. We've taken this parenting thing very seriously. We've taken marriage very seriously. We've taken family very seriously. And you don't take any time out. You don't. You do not take any time out. So I would say just stay true to who you are. Figure out whatever that alignment is and stay true to that. And I think the rest kind of sort of works itself out.
I love that you've been spitting bars all day. You in here like the Drake versus Kendrick battle right now. You dropping bars. I'm about to take that. There is no halftime in the process. I like that. I got to flirt with that title, mess around with it. I like that. Silas Sr., your perspective.
Man, just leaning on your faith, man. And like she said, bringing your authentic self, man. You do that, man, and everything else will take care of itself. Faith, family.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Silas Jr., your perspective. What did you learn about yourself this year? And what are your goals for this upcoming season? Your perspective. Like, what do you want to get better at? Some kids say this, ball handling, shot, and what did you learn about yourself? Not just as a player, but as a man.
I kind of learned how to like separate myself. You got to really understand who to really listen to, who really not to listen to.
Mm,
'Cause culture is a big thing in college basketball. You got to have a great culture if you want to be a winning team. And we had an up and down culture, so like we was winning, everybody was happy, but when we was losing, everybody wasn't so happy. So in between them moments, you got to really lean on who really still trying to speak the truth and who really trying to break the team apart. So I learned as a man, like when somebody not doing as well, they're gonna try to bring you down with them. So you gotta really understand who really bluffing and who really telling the truth and who really still for the team. I don't learn that, and on the court, I just learned how to be more confident. Like, just gotta be at any time, like at my size, I'm a plus size at a point guard size, so it's a lot of things that I can really do. I might not have to do too much because it's a smaller guard on me. So if I can just get to my spots, rarely they're gonna really block the shot, or rarely they're gonna be able to stop me from making a play. So just being more confident in that, and then honestly, just I feel like this coming year, the coaches just gonna let me. They're gonna let me even more loose. Like it was hard because we was an older team, so they was trying to help everybody out. But now
yep.
we come back, you got me more involved. I feel like this year they gonna really let me go and let me rock. And I feel
Let
like
him
this
cook.
summer, yeah, like this summer, that's what they tell me. They're like, it's my team. You got to lead. Pretty much they're gonna go as you go. So
Mm.
but it's just, I'm just trying to go as hard so I can live up to it. I know I'm gonna live up to it, but just putting in the work, you're gonna feel like if I feel like myself, if I don't work out, I feel like I'm lazy. I ain't doing that. Like I feel like working out. I love working out. Like I get happy to go to the gym.
That's so
Like
good.
so I feel like if I don't work out, I feel like I ain't do nothing that day. I feel like I ain't get no better. It's like I feel bad about myself. I don't know. So it's a weird feeling as an athlete. Like I just feel like I gotta work out. Like I was talking to my dad the other day. I'm like, it's hard for me to not want to go work out. It's hard for me to just sit down. And I know like rest and treatment is a good thing, but it's a battle. It's a mental battle with myself. And it's like I'm trying to get better at it because I know I can't always beat the body up. But it's a mental battle I'm growing on. Like obviously treatment and everything. You gotta sometimes be okay with not touching the basketball that day because it's what's best for you that day. But I just love being around basketball, and I feel like my accolades is trying to get to the tournament, man, trying to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've always
One
been a
shot
winner.
moment.
Like obviously we had a winning season, so it's not like we didn't win because we won 20 games. It is hard to win 20 games in college basketball. Everybody got a different team, coming with a different team every year. So I just want to make it to the tournament. Sure, I'm trying to get player of the year, trying to be in the conversation for national player of the year. Like it's a bunch of accolades I have I could list off, but we're gonna see within the near future. Like I'm gonna be close to getting some of them things that's not happening.
I believe it. I believe it. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, man. Perspective, insight, and goals. And a lot of bars have been spit in this episode by everybody, man. You can tell this is a favorite family, and you can tell the grind and the process. You are enjoying the highs and the lows. My last point to you before we sign off, Silas Jr., is I love your passion and your purpose. Just small feedback. One thing I realized as my career was ending is enjoy it. Take a moment to reflect. That doesn't mean get complacent, but just enjoy the fact that whether you play D1, D2, D3, and you have a chance to lead, very few people, your peers from Carolina and other states, have embraced and enjoyed that same success. Very few people play at this level. I didn't realize that until me and your dad were done playing. I went, I started to go through the next phase of my life, and I started to realize, like, wow, I was part of a special group. You know, games coming on ESPN Classic, and people still remember me from 20 years ago. So you are very, very favored right now. So enjoy it, and experienced some stuff at Georgia that, you might not thought you would have liked. Because the next chapter is going to be professional for you. So, and it gets even more business-like. So other than that, man, this has been a lot of fun. Silas, Senior, Shaunte, love you both. You guys are great. Keep inspiring, keep showing people love and showing how to love others. I can't wait for this upcoming season, even though I'm a football guy, I'm a basketball guy too. Make sure everybody watching when I post this to support this family, keep them in prayer, and also keep supporting them lovely family, this lovely player. They save some of that NIL money. Or if you don't like that chain, send it to me. I'll floss it for a week. But anyway, man, everybody supporting the Vicktory Life movement. I appreciate you all. Thank you to Demary family, your village, your daughters, everybody, man. Continue to move forward in the righteous path, as well as enjoy these moments, enjoy these games. Everybody continue. If you want to see great episodes like this, make sure you subscribe to the Vicktory Life channel on YouTube and also other social media platforms. Like I say, every episode, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, make sure you have a positive impact and you leave a great legacy. On behalf of the Demary family and Vicktory Life, I'm out. Y'all take care.
Thanks for having us, man. Appreciate it. Yep.